gentlemen, welcome to the presentation on resinous epoxy and polyurethane flooring systems. Introduction about our company. This is our managing director who is now on the screen, Mr. Murli Yadma. The goal of the company is MYK Arments' goal is to derive innovation solution and develop new and eco-friendly products to achieve leadership in construction chemical. We constantly aim at excellence in customer satisfaction and services. That's the goal of the organization. We can, hello, can you put yourself on mute, please? Many of them, I hear a lot of echo.
Give me a second, sir. I will check. I told Priyanka earlier.
I request all the participants to put
yes,
yourself on mute.
You can proceed.
Yeah, our vision of the company is to set standards of excellence and trust in the global construction industry. That's the vision of the company. Our presence, we have a corporate office at Hyderabad and regional offices located at all the metros like Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Kolkata, Bhubaneswar, and Cochin. And we also have representatives offices at tier 2 cities like Hubli, Ahmedabad, Surat, Nasik, Kolhapur, Goa, and other places. And we have 4 factories strategically located to cater different parts of the India. Our main factory being at Hyderabad, which is a totally computerized manufacturing unit. We also have unit in Kehrani, Vapi, and Kolkata. All these plants are strategically located to cater different parts of the country. Okay, right. We have our major clients like Tata Housing, Mahindra Space, Shobha, DLF, and many more in the list. Before I get inside the product presentations, on the panel you have from MYK Mr. Argadeep, who is the regional sales manager South India. You have Mr. Sai Gaurav, who is the cluster manager for construction systems Karnataka, and you have Mr. Gopinath, regional sales manager flooring. I welcome all the MYK participants on board. The targeted segments of MYK is like, we are into pre to post constructions, right? Starting from concrete admixtures to repair and restorations, building and sealants, flooring and coatings, waterproofing. Basically, we are into everything from pre to post constructions. Even in case if there is any distress of the structures, we offer solutions in terms of structural strengthening and carbon fiber wrapping, glass fiber wrappings. These sessions will be taken by my colleague Sai Gaurav in the next 2 days. We also emphasize more on research and development. We have a state-of-art research and development center at Hyderabad, where we continuously innovate new product developments, and we also tailor make products according to the customer requirements. And today in India, we also do reverse engineering to most part of the world, wherein earlier we were taking the support of Germany and other people for technology transfer. Today we are self-sufficient and we do reverse engineering for them, and we give our technology as part of MYK team. The agenda of today's meeting is introduction of MYK resin floorings and coating systems. Okay. Why do we need special floorings? Can anybody? Let's be interactive. In case if you have any queries, also you can ask. But before I start the session, I would like to know why do we need special floorings, or why do we need any kind of a protective coating, maybe in form of epoxy or a polyurethane in the industry? Can anybody answer this question, please?
They can use the chat box.
Yeah, in case if you want to answer also, you can unmute and answer.
Yeah, that also can be
done. Yes, Mr. Mohammed.
Chat box will be the best option, sir. Sometimes network will be fluctuating. At a time, 2-3 people will speak.
Yeah, I appreciate if somebody can answer, or else I will proceed with my presentation.
To have a good appearance, this is from Raju.
Yes, please.
Raju, for durability and aesthetics from Mr. Srinivas.
Very good. Very good, sir.
since increase the lifespan,
Very good.
strain resistance.
Absolutely fine. Very good.
You can proceed, sir.
Many chemicals used in industries. Very good, sir. I think we have a knowledgeable crowd, so it is good. See, industrial floors are generally exposed to extreme abuse, and we receive, or any floor in an industry receives very minimum maintenance. Hardly, see, the flooring is designed for maximum, say, M30 grade of concrete, so the floor can take 300 kgs per centimeter square. That's the load that the floor can take. But whereas in an industry, particularly in automotive or an heavy engineering industry, the floor is subjected to much more stress or the load than the floor can take. So definitely it needs some kind of protection so that the load movements and abrasion resistance can be increased. It is not only for the reasons what the participants mentioned, it is also for enhancing or maintaining the quality of the finished product of the end customer. Uh, for example, if it is a pharmaceutical unit, see, the main requirement is hygiene. Antifungal floor is required. There shouldn't be any joints on the floor. So this is one of the requirement of a pharmaceutical or a food industry. So it could also be for quality control of the finished product what they manufacture, or it could be for any reason like aesthetics. Some people were saying for chemical resistance, for a better load momenting. It can be for any reason an epoxy or a polyurethane flooring is required. Everybody will accept with me, concrete is a strong material, but it is incomplete. As civil engineers, I think many will disagree with this point. So participants, do you all agree it is incomplete concrete, or is it a strong material as far as you are concerned? Okay, it is incomplete in sense it is not a waterproof material. It is absorbent in nature. It is not hygienic. It is not chemical resistant. It has very limited impact resistance. It has limited abrasion resistance. It is porous, thereby emits a lot of dust. It is difficult to maintain, particularly if it's an engineering and an automobile or a CNC. A lot of oil comes in contact with the floor and the floor becomes absorbent and it absorbs a lot of oil, and over a period of time the concrete becomes soft. It has limited flexibility. When it is laid on a larger span, it tends to crack. It has limited ability to dissipate static charges. I will talk in detail about it once I come to that slide, which is in about a few minutes away from now. Will crack under extreme temperature. So we will discuss further on this. So it emits dust. So we feel like concrete is a strong material, but it is incomplete in the sense of a particular industry. Like it cracks. There is dampness. Dampness again in many places. That's what we see in the pictures on the right hand side. Limitations of concrete: acids. If the acids falls on the concrete gets deteriorated. It affects the reinforcement of the concrete. Acid and alkalis, molasses, it penetrates deep into the concrete and contaminates the subsoil. Oils, liquid, molasses, water, everything affects the concrete. So it needs to be protected in a form of an impermeable coating. That's what an epoxy or a polyurethane does. So it has limited resistance, impact resistance. For example, a 40 Newton load falls on a 30 Newton concrete. Let us understand how it works. You have a concrete of M30 grade, and there is a 40 Newton load falling on the concrete. You see the reaction, like how the load is transferred onto the concrete. The moment the load falls, the distribution of the load is on only 1 into 1 mm. The resultant effect is concrete failure. The entire 40 tons falls directly. The impact is directly onto the concrete, and the load distribution is very less. Hence, the concrete fails. We'll see a different scenario of having an epoxy flooring in the next slide. Supposing let's on the same M30 concrete, if there is an 2 mm of epoxy thick flooring which has a compressive strength of 60 Newton per mm square. Let's see what is the effect of it. Load, see at the bottom bond line. See, this is the dotted lines is the bottom bond line. You can see the impact. Once the load is falling, the load is distributed on a larger area. See, the larger area which we're talking about is 5 mm into 5 mm, means 25 mm square is the load that is distributed, and the resultant load that which comes on top of it is 1.6 Newton per mm square. From down from 40 Newton, the load is now distributed on a larger area, and the resultant load is 1.6 Newton per mm square. That's how this epoxy flooring of minimum or at least a 2 mm will protect your concrete from all the distress. Not waterproof will lead to subsoil contamination. All these chemicals, whichever is stored onto the concrete, slowly the liquids will get penetrated. As we discussed in the previous slide, it is absorbent in nature, it is porous in nature. Slowly the penetration will happen and the contamination of hazardous waste will reach the subsoil, leading to environment hazards. It is limited abrasion resistance. When we say a limited abrasion resistance, if it is a pedestrian movement or a pallet trucks or vehicular movements, which is very often then not we have seen in any kind of an industry, all this is absolutely must in an industry to move the loads, to move the equipments. You require all this movement to happen onto the floor. By doing so, what happens is over a period of time, the concrete, the top layer is worn out, it loses the property, and if there is an oil, if there is any cracks which is developed, even if you treat it with regular cement mortars, the mortar doesn't bond and it debonds. So for all these reasons, we say that it's a lot of limitations in the concrete. This is particularly for a food or a pharmaceutical unit. It is not a hygienic surface. When we say it is not a hygienic surface, concrete, particularly if it is a syrup manufacturing unit, the entire place needs to be hygienic. Or even if you have a tile surface, tiles will have joints. And if you see all the corners, particularly the floor and the walls, the dust accumulation mostly happens there. And there is a periodic maintenance that we need to undergo in any pharmaceutical unit. And there will be an audit, an external audit, which audits every month to see the cleanability or you see the cleanliness of the floor. So if there is any microorganisms, see, these are basically the pores which you see the U portions from where the dusting can happen, where the fungal growth can happen, or where the residues can stay inside the pores, and that is where the germs or the virus start. So you need to have an jointless flow which doesn't allow any kind of an fungus growth, and it should be basically an antifungal flow. This is the dusting which is happening from the pores of the concrete. You see this bacteria going into the pores, and that is where it is detrimental for a pharmaceutical or a food processing unit. See, this more of talks about the illumination properties. See, concrete basically is very absorbent in nature. Supposing this red mark, whatever you see, that's the light which is falling onto the floor. You see the absorption. It absorbs a lot of light and the reflection is very less. Supposing you have an epoxy flooring or a polyurethane flooring which is impervious, means it doesn't allow any kind of percolation, or it doesn't allow the light to get absorbed into the concrete. You see, the moment the light falls, the absorption is very less and the refraction is much better. So thereby you're also saving electricity if you're having a jointless floor or an impervious floor. Will reduce lighting reflection. Cannot accommodate shrinkage. Like everybody knows, like, in any industry, the spans are very huge. The basically the factory floors are designed in such a way, like, it is 100 meters by 35 meters or even more than that. So when a large span of concrete has to be laid, either it has to be a chocolate cut. Now everybody go for VDF flooring or an IPS flooring. Even there you will find this shrinkage crack. It can't accommodate large spans, cannot accommodate shrinkage due to cement hydration in large areas and span, cannot accommodate large dynamic loads, especially in a floating slab, will crack when exposed to large and recurrent temperature variations. And the concrete is not cured also well, then you will find a lot of shrinkage cracks happening. So it has possibly this limitation as well in the concrete. It has limited dissipative charges. When we say limited dissipative charges, everybody would have come across this charges. See, the friction on the floor, even when you walk on a mat or a vinyl mat, even on a carpet, you would have experiences like while sitting in a chair, you would have observed some amount of shock. Or close to a television, if you see there is some kind of a friction which happens onto the hairs. This all is because of the static charges. See, while we are walking on even the concrete floor, there is some amount of static charges which is developed. So this is what we say. See, the moment you touch it, like there is a shock that you experience. But this shock is definitely like in a human body, it can be not that detrimental. But sophisticated equipments like something in a satellite manufacturing, like or in a Chandrayaan kind of an satellite which is being manufactured, the equipments are so sensitive that even the minor shocks are more than enough to snap that particular equipment. So the static charges needs to be ground. It needs to be connected to earth. I request a few people are still are unmute, so I request them to put themselves in mute, please. So even that minute static charges is good enough to snap that particular equipment. So it needs to be earth, like we do earthing for our buildings. The same way the flooring has to be also earth. So that is what we say limited dissipative charges in a concrete floor. See, supposing if there is any equipment or any tools falling onto the floor, there is a spark which is generated. Even this spark is more than enough to damage your equipment. Supposing you have an flooring which is taken to earth, and this is an conductive or an ESD flooring. You can see even if there is an equipment falling, the charges are taken to ground. It is grounded. So this will be done with a copper strip which will be connected to the earthing points, which will be dedicatedly provided in that particular structure. This is for a very specific requirement like OTs, for an PCB manufacturing unit, or a gas handling unit where the sensitive spark is more than sufficient for it to explode. The proper grounding and the use of conductive or dissipate material plays a major role. When used, the charges goes to the ground rather than being discharged into sensitive parts. So let us summarize the total limitations of the concrete. So why do we require epoxy or polyurethane or any kind of protection onto the floor? To have hygiene, to protect the concrete from chemicals, for better impact resistance, for better abrasion resistance, prevention of contamination of subsoil, for aesthetic finish, to reduce lighting costs, skid resistance. When we say skid resistance, we can offer different type of finish like a bottling plant or a washing area where you need a texture finish, you need a rough finish rather than a smooth finish where people tend to fall and get severely hurt. So there the finish can be tailor-made with epoxy materials. Flexibility, anti-static and dissipative properties whenever required. So this is specific to different kind of an industry. So for all these reasons, we need some kind of protection of the floor. So who needs such flooring? Literally today, if you see any kind of an industry, be it electronic, food, beverages, engineering, automobile, pharma, textile, or maybe the ones which is not there in the picture, most of the industries today require some kind of protection of the concrete. However good the materials that anybody has, me or my competitors, so the success of any epoxy or a polyurethane flooring depends mostly on the surface preparation methods, the detailing that we take care. So I will brief you about the surface preparation techniques that we adopt for the laying of epoxy or polyurethane. Importance of surface preparation is to remove the top latents and weak concrete. See, if at all if there is any weak concrete, like on that you try to do anything. However, best of material you apply, it is going to come out from the weak portion. removal of surface contaminants. It can be in the form of oil, it can be in the form of acids, alkalis, or any kind of foreign materials which is there onto the concrete substrate. Identify cracks and repair with suitable repair materials before any epoxy or polyurethane is done. It can be an epoxy mortar or it can be a polymer modified mortars. It can be any high strength material which has to have a better bonding with the existing concrete. If you're doing with a normal cement sand mortar, that will not bond, and if there is any movement over it, for the time being, it will remain on the surface. Thereafter, it will spall from this bottom, and even the flooring, whatever we have put, it will come out with that. So it also creates a good mechanical key with the new flooring system. So that is where the surface preparation is very, very important. As avoiding future headaches and failures, surface preparation is absolutely important. These are some of the methods that we adopt. One is a grinding process, which is a general process. The grinding is done if the system thickness is say 1 or 2 grinding is more than sufficient. In case if the system built up has to be more, but 4 plus, then we also propose sandblasting or ball blasting. Scarifying is done when there is an epoxy flooring which is already done and it is damaged for some reason and it needs to be removed. Then scarifying or scabbling is required. So these are some of the surface preparation methods that we adopt for laying of epoxy and polyurethane floorings. This is a grinding machine which is attached with a vacuum cleaner. So this is the picture of that. This is about sandblasting. This is a ball blasting machine or steel blasting, whatever we say. The top layer
Why we
is
need to do a sandblasting?
sandblasting is done if the thickness of the floor is 4 plus. A normal grinding will not be sufficient. In those kind of a situation, the top layer needs to be upgraded. See, there are different grades of surface preparation that we do. The profiling, we say basically, a higher thickness requires better bonding. So hence we recommend a short blasting kind of an thing. And if the surface is hard, if it is treated with a floor hardener, the top surface is always hard. So to remove that, sandblasting is very much recommended. So basically, wherever the floor is very, very hard and a normal grinding is only going to increase the sheen or increase the top layer is not going to come out, there we recommend a steel blasting. Particularly if at all, if it needs to be done on a MS where a coating is to be required, sandblasting is very much required on MS structures, then followed by an epoxy coating. And even before that, we also treat it with a zinc-rich primer. It also acts as an anti-corrosion coating before a coating is done. So this scabbling, as I said, it creates a definite profile onto your concrete surface. A top layer of almost about 3 to 4 is completely removed. So this is for a floor in case if it is to be done on a cold storage area where you built a thickness of almost about 10 to 12 So this kind of surface preparation is required. Not only this, we also recommend to cut grooves onto the floor so that the floor is anchored into the ground. Scabbling, as I said, whenever there is epoxy flooring to be removed, it will be very laborious if you are using a regular chisel hammer to remove it. So it needs to be evenly removed. And if you're using a chisel and the conventional method, you also tend to remove the chunk of concrete. So if you're using a scabbler, it will remove evenly and your profile of the floor will be much better. So these are some of the surface preparation methods we propose. What are the products that MYK offer in flooring range? See, if you say in both hardened state as well as in fresh state, we have products. First, I'll talk about the fresh stage, monolithic. When we say monolithic, it is a surface floor hardener which is spread onto the top of concrete when the concrete is still wet. We also have surface consolidating, which is in a liquid form, which goes inside the pores of the concrete and densifies. We also have, in this range, two types of products, sodium silicate based and lithium based. So both the products are available in that range. In a hardened state, we have sealers. Sealers are basically pore sealers, which goes inside the pores, arrests the dust, and thereby avoids any kind of further dusting from the concrete. So then we have different kinds of primer for epoxies, polyurethane. We have polyurethane primers. We have acrylic primers. We have uh, primers for waterproofing systems. So all the primer ranges which they have water-based, solvent-based products. We have undulation leveling agent. Undulation leveling agent, we have cementitious, we have epoxy, we have a screed kind of system as a mortar type of material. We have heavy duty screeds for higher thickness, maybe 4 mm up to about 60 to 70 mm. Also, we can do, but that in a cementitious screed, not in epoxy. We can build a 60 mm or 100 mm screeds. Then we have toppings. Toppings range from 0.5 mm and it goes up to about 10 mm. In epoxies, it's maximum about 5 mm or so, but in polyurethanes, you can go up to about 10 mm. Coating systems, as we all know, it will be less than 500 microns. Any coating starting from 100 to about 0.5 mm thick, that is 500 microns, it is called as a coating system. Thereafter, it is all a topping system. In a fresh concrete, as I said, we have two products. I think I will not get inside too much into the product. We have a floor hardener, which is mineral origin based. We have emery based. We have two ranges. Both needs to be, it's a dry shake of floor hardener, which needs to spread onto the concrete when it is still wet at a dosage of 3 to 6 kgs per meter square, depending upon the load movement, light, medium, and heavy duty. So further, if there is any kind of a requirement, you can always get in touch with our technical team. They will propose what and what is the dosage that they recommend for various or different type of industry. Not all the industry requires about 6 to 7 kgs of material. It depends on the type of industry, what is the load that is coming on, what is the abrasion, what is the life that is expected out of the floor. Based on that, our technical team will recommend this system to you. As we said, we also have it in liquid form, which is a surface consolidating one, both sodium silicate base as well as lithium based surface consolidating products we have in our range. In hardened state, as we said, sealers, I think this is repeated. So sealers, primers, undulation agents, leveling agents, heavy duty screeds, topping and coatings we have in our range. Underlays a cementitious moisture barrier. I think this is one which I will take a few minutes of your time. A product called Simpo, which is going to come in next slides or so. So in cementitious, we have self-leveling material which can be built from 3 mm to 30 mm in a single go. Yeah. Is there any question? Can I go ahead, please? Yeah. Cementitious self-leveling material from 3 to 30 mm. This product is mostly used for underlays, particularly for vinyl flooring. Below that, if the floor is undulated, the undulations can't be covered with any cement mortar or something like that of a 3 mm material. It has to be a high strength material, at least 3 to 50 mm. We can give a compressive strength of 20 Newton to 30 Newton per mm square. So we have two products in that. That is Soloplan 30 and 30M. 30M stands for 30 Newton per mm square. That is the compressive strength of the material. And Soloplan 30 gives about 15 to 20 Newton per mm square. See, any self-leveling material can't be built to a thickness of 30 mm, but whereas our USP is that cementitious material, just open, add water to it. In case if it is required, you can also incorporate aggregates into it and build a thickness of 3 to 30 mm in a single go. In mortar systems, we have EcoScreed, which can be done both bonded and unbonded, and a minimum thickness of 25 mm and to a maximum thickness of 160 mm can be built in a screed kind of a material. So we have three products in that range: EcoScreed, Fluxy, and Ultra. It can go up to about from 15 also, but generally we don't recommend 15 mm or 10 mm as mentioned. So we always start from 25 mm. That's ideal. In epoxies, we have self-leveling materials ranging from 1 to 3 mm. Product is flow adhesive. In epoxies, we have high built thickness from 3 to 5 and mortars about 3 to 6 product names I will not discuss. This is a generalized presentation. So product in detail we will discuss whenever there is a requirement which is coming up. Very few very few companies in the country has this moisture barrier underlay. See, as everybody know, the universally the accepted thumb rule is that the moisture content of the floors for any epoxy flooring should be below 4%. But how do we check the moisture content? There are two ways of checking the moisture content. One is a polythene sheet test, which is demonstrated in the picture. You'll have to take 100 micron polythene sheet and stick to a or stick on the concrete surface at various multiple places, and all these sites needs to be masked, and it needs to be allowed. This is an ASTM D4263 test that is recommended. It should be allowed for a period of 48 to 72 hours. If you see any water droplets on the polythene sheet, means there is presence of moisture, and there is also the moisture movement which is happening below the concrete surface. But this is an old system, like generally people tend to avoid doing this. We have the moisture meters which can give you the surface reading, which is digital, as well as and, both the moisture meters are available. So it can show you a reading on the floor, which will show up to about 6 to 8%. But our any system, it has to be below 4%. That's a thumb rule. What will happen if you execute any kind of an epoxy flooring or a polyurethane flooring? Polyurethane still has some resistance, even it can go up to about 8%. Nothing happens for a polyurethane. But when it comes to epoxy, it has a limitation. Phase one, you'll find a simple blister appearing onto the surface, which can be in a size of 0.5 to 4 centimeters. Slowly in phase two, you'll find the bubbles are multiple in size, as well as in multiple places you'll observe. And in phase three, the bubbles will open up in the presence of salt and a semi-permeable film. Request people to put on mute, please. Okay, in phase three, you'll find the blister is opening up, and there is foul smell emitting out, and the delamination of flooring starts. So that's the effect of moisture if an epoxy flooring is laid without the testing of this moisture movement and moisture pressure. See, to overcome this particular problem, this is the product which I was talking about, which is a very complicated technology, which our MYK team and R&D team have developed this product, which is a combination of cement and epoxy. It forms a lamella a framework in epoxy, that is with water soluble epoxies and the cements which is present, which will not allow the moisture to surface up for the first 7 days. Thereby, it will allow the epoxy to develop a bond strength of 1.5 Newton per mm square in a matter of 1 to 7 days. That is where it is very, very important for any epoxy to have an undisturbed setting time for the first 7 days, so that the epoxy can develop that bond strength. Once the bond strength of 1.5 Newton is developed, thereafter, even if there is any water pressure, it will not come up. In fact, if you can see in the screen, all this arrow marks which is diverted in opposite direction means the moisture will laterally move outside the concrete, and it will not come out and push the coating out. So this is a product which is one of our USP, and it needs to be laid to a thickness of minimum 2 and it will act as a moisture barrier for 5 to 7 days. After laying this product, in a matter of about 24 to 48 hours, we will show the reading. See, in the picture, a person is taking the reading. In about 48 hours, you will see that moisture is below 4%, conducive to do any kind of an epoxy coating or a flooring on top of it. So this is a product which a very few competitors has, and we have been successful in laying more than 2 lakh square meters of flooring in Bang or in the country. When it comes to the topping range, we have the entire ambit of products from epoxies to high density polyurethanes to epoxy polyurethane combinations of various thicknesses. We say, I will not go into the detail about the product names, from 0.5 mm to 6 mm for screeds, heavy duty mortar screeds, which can go up to 6 mm. We have self leveling high density polyurethane from 2 to 12 mm. See, when we say why is this range from 2 to 12 mm, it depends on the kind of an industry. As we were talking about, see, this further we will discuss in the coming slides. Why in high density polyurethane flooring, if it is to be done for a cold storage or a place where maximum abuse happens, why the coating has to increase. So that we will discuss. So we have in that range from 2 mm to 12 mm flooring that can be done. In epoxy polyurethane combination, it's a combination of epoxy and polyurethane. We have 1 mm, and in self-leveling properties, self-leveling material, we have to 3 to 4 mm, which is polyurethane coating, which can be left exposed also. So that will also we will be discussing in the coming slides. These are some of the projects which is completed, and the pictures enclosed for your reference. This is a food industry in Bangalore, very prestigious one, successfully completed to the satisfaction of the customer. These are few projects completed. Coatings, in coatings we have acrylic based coatings, we have epoxy coating, we have polyurethane coatings, acrylic based, even anti-carbonation coatings, particularly for saline atmosphere or a coastal place. Nowadays every structure, even in Bangalore, if you see, all this flyovers are finished with anti-carbonation coatings. We can see this BW uses using water-based coatings or a polyurea coating inside the tanks, inside the pipelines. We have epoxy coatings like EFG stands for epoxy food grade product. We have coal tar based product. We have heat resistant product. We have chemical resistant product, ARC, acid resistant coating for both walls as well as flooring. And we have polyurethane coatings for hospitals or any clean room requirements. A few of the coating projects that we have completed. This is how the flooring looks like once the flooring is finished. See, basically, when we are designing, all the architects, when we are interacting, all the clients, what are the factors that we consider? See, basically today, you go to any industry or go to any place, like flooring is an investment for them. So why will they invest a lot of money on an epoxy flooring? See, and what are the factors that they want? So what are the parameters that we as a company, before recommending a system, see, we go into the design. What is the timelines that is available with us? What is the budget that the company or any the customer can provide? What is the maintenance cycle that they are expecting? And overall life, see, they can, if they are asking for a coating system and we are recommending a 5mm system, so that doesn't make sense. So we understand the overall requirement of an industry and then propose the system. That's the basic product selection. We say flooring is basically an investment into any industry facility. Attention to be paid to the selection, whether it is new construction, maintenance, extension, machinery installation. So based on all this requirement will be our technical team proposing any system. And should you require any further more details, you can always contact us. We will have our team answer to all your queries. Apart from floorings, we also do the detailing part of it, like coving system, if at all if it is required. It is absolutely mandatory, absolutely mandatory for food and pharma to have this covings. It can be pencil coving at all the floor wall junctions, particularly at the window sills. On the floor joints, you will have 50 mm, 25 mm, and 75 mm, depends. Uh, on the flooring, not only there will be a lot of joints which will be treated with polyurethane sealant, or we also have epoxy modified sealants which can be given in color that of epoxy, whatever you choose. So basically, you're choosing a blue color, epoxy modified sealant also can be given in blue so that it merges with your existing floor. We also do the line markings with a refractive paint. We also do this edge treatments, particularly for the trenches, which is available in an industry. So these are the basic requirement of all the industries. So we also have some special floorings as we discussed. Anti-static flooring, it can be conductive, it can be an dissipative flooring. Basically, we discuss why an anti-static flooring is required. It is not required in all the industry, it is only industry specific that is required. And electrostatic charges is generated by contact and separation of two surfaces, which may be solid, liquid, or even in the form of gas. So what happens when there is a movement? So we will see that. See, for example, if you see the electrostatic voltages walking across a carpet, it generates 1,500 to 3,500 volts just by walking. That's a friction when we walk onto this, walk onto a carpet area. This is the amount of friction that is generated. Walking on a vinyl floor will generate 250 to 1,200 volts of static charges. Workers at a workstation will develop, or by doing that, will have 100 to 200 volts generated, and vinyl envelope will have an static charges of 600 volts. So these are more than enough to snap any equipment on an sensitive equipment. So that is where a conductive floor is absolutely required. It not only endangers the equipment, it also the people working on it. So that's where we require anti-static flooring. See, SL conductive, this is anti-static conductive flooring. A notable point is that apart from giving all the benefits of an epoxy flooring like aesthetic appearance, easy to clean, chemical and abrasion resistant, electrostatic conductive, see the main point that you need to note here is resistant to earth value. Based on this only, whether a conductive floor needs to be offered or an ESD firm, electrostatic dissipative flooring is required based on the requirement of the customer. See, the customer has to spell out their resistance or in terms of ohms. So in an antistatic flooring, 5 to the 10 to the power of 4 to 1 into 10 to the power of 6 ohms, that's the resistance that the flooring will have. In terms of conductive dissipative flooring, if you see, the only notable difference between both the product is the resistance to earth values, which is 1 to the power of 1 into 10 to the power of 6 to 1 into 10 to the power of 9 ohms. That's the resistance an antistatic flooring can give. Apart from that, the aesthetic part, the easy to clean, chemical resistance, everything remains the same. Only whether the resistance required on the floor is to be given by the customer or by the architect or by the consultant, that the flooring should act like this. See, when it is an dissipative floor and a conductive floor is done, it is applied in a much different way than in regular epoxy. Even before a final layer is laid, a conductive carbon coat is laid, over that copper strip is connected, which can be put it in the grid form. Depending on the resistance required, it can be 3 meter by 3 meter, 4 meter by 4 meter, or 5 meter by 5 meter, or it can be also a groove can be cut and the wires can be inserted, and it will be dedicatedly connected to the earthing points, which will be provided on the periphery of or the building. So that needs to be connected. The copper strip needs to be attached to that, so that, like, whatever charges that we when there is a movement, it is developed, it is taken to earth, and it is protected, not only the equipment, even the humans, from shock. Apart from that, we also have products for hospitals. Like, it can be a multiple area of application. It can be a burn room, which is very, very, very sensitive. It can be an OT where ESD floorings are very much required, because the oxygen level in OT is much more, and even a minute spark is more than enough for it to explode. So ESD floorings are very much required in an OT. Ward rooms calls for a different requirement. So there are various classes from 10,000 clean room to 1 lakh clean room. So that signifies the cleanliness of the floor. So that's the standards that they have. It starts from 100 clean room and it goes up to 1 lakh clean room. So the consultants of the architect, they have to clearly put in the specification. This is the cleanliness factor that they are expecting. We also have dielectric, which is a new product that we have developed. This is there in our range from last about 3 years or so. See, more or less in a LT and a panel room, we see a rubber mat put in front of the equipment so that the shocks or it acts as an insulator. This is what exactly an insulator flooring does with us. Like, it prevents the shock. The area of application can be anywhere like LT, HT panels, electronics, telecommunications, generator install rooms, AC plants, solar cell productions, or transformer rooms. Anywhere this dielectric floor can be subjected. We have high density polyurethane system. Like I was talking about the various thicknesses from 2 to 10 Let us now discuss why there is a vast difference or vast requirements. See, in a light load movement area, a 2 of polyurethane is more than sufficient. In an engineering unit, if the load movement are not more than about 5 tons, a 4 flooring is good enough. This high density polyurethane floorings are basically used where extreme conditions the flooring are subjected to, like frequent intensive steam cleaning, hot water cleaning, or aggressive chemicals that they're using to clean the floor. In those kind of places, polyurethane floorings are very much recommended, and which needs to be higher thickness, maybe 6 plus. It can go up to 12 See, it has a big advantage. If you see the extreme service temperature that the flooring can offer, plus 120 degrees centigrade to minus 40 degrees centigrade, the thermal shocks that the flooring has to withstand, that's where the system thickness can vary. Our technical team will understand from you all what is the flooring subjected to. See, particularly in a cold storage, it can go up to minus 40 degree. Thereby, if at all, if it is dairy or something like that, where steam cleaning is there, the flooring, the floors will be subjected to a steam cleaning which generates almost about 120 degrees centigrade and plus when the steam cleaning happens. So wherever there is a steam cleaning or regular discharges of hot water or chemicals that come in contact, where the impact load of the flooring is very high, where the thermal shocks of the flooring needs to be very high, there we recommend a higher thickness of HPU, stands for uh, high density polyurethane series. That's where we say series. It starts from 2 to 12 thickness. We have made a simple analysis of epoxy and polyurethane, what it can withstand. You see, the limitation of epoxy is if the temperature is 70 degree, that's where the limitation of epoxy. Beyond that, an epoxy flooring can't be recommended. Whereas a polyurethane can withstand even if it is 140 degree. Say when it comes to lower temperature, 0 degrees is the minimum that the epoxy can withstand. Minus degrees, you can't lay any kind of an epoxy flooring. So whereas in polyurethane is a very versatile product, even if it's minus 40, the product can be recommended. Thermal shocks, epoxy can't withstand any thermal shock, whereas polyurethane can. Surface moisture sensitivity, epoxy is very sensitive. You'll find, as we discussed, blister appearing if the moisture content is above 4%. Whereas in polyurethane, even if the moisture content is higher than 4%, let's say under 10%, the polyurethane floor can be done without any problems of the moisture. Generally, if we see the moisture content of a 20-day-old concrete will be somewhere in the range of about 8 to 10. So that's good enough. Once the flooring is done, about 28 days curing is finished. Hardly now today anybody does 28 days curing, and all about 10 days or maybe 12 days of curing, and then the water is removed, and that should be good enough. If the concrete is about 28 days old, we can directly do polyurethane flooring even without checking the moisture content. Chemical resistant property is also excellent in polyurethane, whereas epoxy is still good, but you'll find the film breakage happening if it is there onto the floor for a longer area. Epoxy is highly gloss. That's one big advantage you have in epoxy. But in polyurethane, you only get matte finish. Usages, if you see general engineering or any places, both epoxy and polyurethane can be done. But generally, if you see polyurethane is a little expensive than the epoxy flooring. And as usual, like, when the price is high, even the performance is also much better. So that's where polyurethane is the one which is for the future, and it is fast catching up. Most of the people, epoxy has a lot of disadvantages. It loses its sheen. There is a lot of scratch marks appearing onto the floor. It is sensitive to moisture. So that's why people are doing away with epoxy now and catching up with polyurethane systems. Apart from other properties that the high density polyurethane can offer, it also can withstand a wide variety of chemicals like sulfuric acid, lactic acid, beer, fats, all this, whatever is mentioned in this. I think I'll give a few minutes for you to go through. These are the chemicals that it can withstand. However, we also require, in case if you have any specific requirement for any chemical industry, you'll have to give the chart of or the list of chemicals that comes in contact onto the floor, and for the contact period, accordingly, we will recommend you the system thickness to be done. Our technical cell will have to recommend you this thickness and this system. As I said, what are the properties that high density polyurethane can offer? It can give you hygiene, hard, bearing resistant, robust polyurethane flooring designed for extreme heavy duty environment. Epoxy can't withstand so much of an abuse, but a polyurethane can definitely do. Benefits: it is heavy duty, hard wearing finish, high chemical resistant, heat resistance up to 120 degrees centigrade, steam cleanable, food grade. Even epoxies are food grade. It is certified by FDI and as well as CFTRI Mysore. The certifications can be provided whenever a customer is very specific about this. Surface spread, flammable point of view, also polyurethane is much better. It withstands high mechanical stress. These are the positive properties of polyurethane flooring. Application methods are very much similar to that of epoxy, but then much more care needs to be taken when we are doing a polyurethane flooring. Ideally, we recommend not a surface grinding method. We recommend a scarification to be done on the floor. Then all the periphery of the walls and all the joints, all the overlaps needs to be groove to be cut so that the material can be folded inside for better mechanical key. It has to be vacuumed out. Cleaning is required. Complete dust needs to be removed from the substrate before laying off primer. For higher thickness, primer may be avoided, and a scratch coat will be recommended of same polyurethane material. And application of the top layer varied thickness. These are few completed projects, successful completion. This, I think I can name the company. This is Ace Designers in Bangalore, where we have completed about 8,000 square meter plus, and there is another 8 to 10,000 square meters of flooring due to do. This is one of very prestigious customer in Bangalore. Few completed projects. I think more or less we have done with the industrial flooring points. Just to sum it up, the points that we discussed, about epoxy and polyurethane, various thicknesses. Now we will be talking about commercial floorings. Even before we go into the commercial floorings, I request if there is any questions, we'll take these questions and then go to car parking flooring systems. Mr. Ashok?
Yeah, for thickness of the floor,
we can open for questions.
Usage, chemical resistance and thermal. I think they have answered. Your colleague is answering the messages.
Wow, good. I think that is where I wanted my panel to be on board so that, any questions they can answer there itself.
Yeah, they're
So can
answering
I carry on?
questions, sir.
Good, good. Can I carry on then?
Yeah, you can proceed.
Yes, please. I'll take another 15 minutes or 20 minutes to complete this.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, now we are talking about commercial flooring. See, the car parking systems are now not like an industrial flooring. See, what is a resin-based car park flooring systems? A resin-based car parking flooring is a synthetic application. Synthetic application means it's a chemical application to augment its properties, to enhance the properties of the floor. A normal concrete floor, generally we see, we will discuss what are the shortcomings in a car parking floor. What are the basic materials used in a car park? It can be epoxy, it can be polyurethane, or it can be PMMA. PMMA stands for polymethyl methacrylate, which is a very, very expensive material, and the material sets in about 2 hours. After 2 hours, the traffic can be subjected to use, but it is very expensive. That's why people prefer epoxy or a polyurethane. They don't prefer PMMA. PMMA mostly they are used for repairs. Supposing you have a driveway or a ramp area where it needs an immediate repair, where you can't block it for a long time, and even if you repair with the cement, because of the movement, because of the wear and tear, it falls out. So it needs to be a material which has very, very high strength, and it can be repaired and can be operational in maximum 2 hours. So that is where PMMA is mostly used for repair of the driveways, or any car parking repair will be carried out with a PMMA material. How does the flooring looks like? See, it can be done in a multiple area. It can be done at a lower basement, it can be done at an exposed area on the topmost portion of a car park area, intermediate tires, and architects have can play with colors.
Oh,
The imaginations, you see on the left hand side a purple color and a gray color with a combination of white. So any color can be given with in epoxy system, even with the polyurethane system that to that sense. There's a finished floors which is done by MYK and successfully handed over to the customers. And all the areas of multiple car park area are large areas. We are talking about a minimum, a small car park area is also minimum 5,000 square meters plus. These are few completed projects of Shobha, and we have done more than 1.5 lakh square meters on a pan-India basis in Shobha in multiple sites, multiple projects in Bangalore. In Bangalore, we have completed about 15, 16 projects, and all the floor are looking like this now. Earlier, it was only VDF, completed, finish. Now, this is the kind of finish that you will get in all the projects from last 2 years or so. For the existing projects, they're not going for, but any new projects which is coming up of Shobha, it is all done with epoxy flooring like this. An overview of car parking products. As I said, it is epoxy, polyurethane, or PMMA based. The built-up thickness varies from 0.5 mm, that is a coating system. Generally, we don't recommend because there is no life in a coating system. High built system starts from 0.5 mm and it can be going up to 1.8 mm or 3 mm, 4 mm. If there is moisture, then we recommend a moisture barrier system, what we discussed in our previous slide. That's Sempo, and over that, this kind of products can be given. So, what are the finish that we can give in a car park? It can be a broadcast finish, which is universally, or particularly in European countries, the norm is it needs to be a rough finish. That's a broadcast finish. We say we have texture finish, which is structured. It is smooth texture where the cleanability is much easier when compared to broadcast. Broadcast, since it is kind of an emery finish, it holds a lot of dust. Cleaning becomes very, very cumbersome. So that's why we recommend a texture system where just by water jetting, everything can come out. It can be easily cleaned. The accident can be reduced in a structured texture. A smooth finish is also recommended, but then generally, if you say MIK technical cell will not recommend a smooth finish because of if both the vehicles are coming from opposite directions and you switch on your lights, the reflection is so high that there is also all possibilities that the accident can happen. So we don't recommend a smooth finish. But however, if the customer is very specific, we can give you that finish also. What is the life expectancy of any car park system? It depends on the system. An average life of 10 to 15 years is minimum that we can give, or the flooring will last for. And what we generally recommend is a maintenance coat after every 5 years to increase the aesthetics and the lifespan of the floor. The various finishes that which I was discussing, it depends on many other factors, the individual choice, the customer's requirement. We can tailor make, alter the texture, increase the broadcast, decrease the broadcast. Everything can be done according to the functionality of the floor. In terms of cleanability, if you want, if you feel the texture is too small, you need to increase, we can increase. You need to decrease, we can decrease. So basically, we can give tailor-made solutions for customers' choice. These are the various finishes. The orange finish is a coating finish, a smooth finish, sorry, and the black color is the a matte finish floor. The green one is a textured finish, and the gray one is the broadcast finish. So these are the four finishes that we can offer in a car park system. What are the typical problems that we encounter in a car park area? Are the pictures on the right says it all? Erosion of reinforcements, that's the common thing that we see. Carbonation, this is because of carbonation, the carbon dioxide which is emitted from the vehicles, all the corners of the building. If you see all the roads in flyovers, all the corners are with carbon, which is black in color, which penetrates into the concrete, reduces the alkalinity of the concrete, and that's where the corrosion process starts. Chloride attacks, particularly if it is a coastal place, you'll find the salty atmosphere, which also, when it comes in contact with water, that's when the corrosion of reinforcement starts, warning of concrete starts. We normally see worn out concrete surface, exposed aggregate finish, because it's a very lean concrete. It is a place where no importance is given. It's badly illuminated. You see exposed aggregate finish. There's leaking joints. The joints are not yet treated. If you go to one floor up, the below floor it is leaking. Failing drainage system, or there is no drainage system provided. Spalling of soffits because of corrosion. Cracks everywhere, the cracks are running onto the surface. Lack of maintenance, dark and uninviting, constant sounding of skidding tires because of the frictions of the tires. This is a common problem that we are encountering in a car park area. So what is the solution that MYK can offer, or with not much of an increased cost? So before we talk about what are the solutions, how does that car park flooring look? So it can be done, as I said, in the basement area. It can be left exposed at the topmost deck of a car park area. These are the advantages of a car park system. Highly abrasion resistant and dust proof. Waterproof. We don't claim it to be a waterproofing system, see, because any epoxy or a polyurethane flooring gives an impermeable layer. Means it doesn't allow any kind of percolation of water or greases or any kind of rain water into it. So, but in case if there is a structural crack, the water can seep in. That's where we say it doesn't act as a waterproofing layer, though it definitely resists. It is not a standalone product as a waterproofing system. Or else tomorrow somebody will say, instead of doing a waterproofing system on my terrace, you come and do this epoxy flooring or a polyurethane flooring. So that's why we don't claim it to be a waterproofing system. Can be applied over damp concrete, of course, with the use of our Sempo system, which can be acting as a moisture barrier system. Additional cement screed might not be required. Generally, what they do is except for the ground bearing slab on the lowermost basement, on the PCC, we recommend a 100 or a 150 layer of a screed concrete finished with definitely a power troll or a VDF finish. In multiple layers, you don't have to increase the dead load of the structure by adding another 100 or so. If you can finish off with 50 screed using our screed system, nothing like that. Or even if you give us a mother slab, also this flooring can be done. But the undulations part is one thing that you'll have to live with it. On the mother slab itself, we can directly do this epoxy or polyurethane system. That's what we say. So additional cement sheet may be not required in a intermediate layer, but the lowermost basement and the uppermost deck very much requires a screed protection. Easy to maintain, very easy and fast to recoat. See, in a day, 5,000 square meters can be completed. In the sense, sorry, in a week's time, 5,000 square meters can be completely done and handed over to the customer with all the requirements, including the line markings and everything. Good end customer satisfaction, anti-slip properties, anti-carbonation provides safety for the structure. Very easy and quick to put in place, as I said, you adds brightness and improves visibility, otherwise in dark and uninviting basement. As I said, like, in a basement area, if at all, if you require about 100 lights, by having an epoxy flooring, it can be brought down to 50% of it. It is a lot of savings when it comes to power. You are also contributing something to the society by reducing the consumption of power. So negligible additional dead load. See, the uh, load that per square meter gives, it is not more than about 5 to 6 kgs per square meter. Whereas if you are going with a concrete of 100 or 50 you can see what is the load, dead load that you are adding. So these are the following advantages that you offer with our epoxy flooring system. The excellent cost versus performance ratio, the cost that you are incurring and the life that you are getting out of this floor. Say, for example, my flooring will be costing, depending on the system, its range starts from 350 to 400 rupees per square meter up to about, say, 750 rupees per square meter. And the life that you get is about 10 years. If you see the cost versus performance ratio, it's worth it. It protects against weathering, as I said, since it doesn't allow any kind of population, your reinforcement, everything is protected. So these are the following advantages that you get in a car park area. See, then picture and now picture. So this is a picture, as I said, it is a Shobha project. Earlier, it used to look like this. It leaves a lasting impression once the flooring is done. See, which are the places where we can do epoxy or a polyurethane flooring? As I said, as a ground bearing slab, that's the lowermost basement of any car park area. We can do it with intermediate tires. We can do it at a top or an exposed roof deck. All the ramps and inclined areas can be done with epoxy. Detailings like coving, joints, wall coatings, anti-graffiti coatings, that we can do. A complete solution can be given. Apart from that, as I said, this is some of the advantages over broadcast system, over texture system. This, anyway, we will share the details by mail. I think all the participants can be sent through from Mr. Ashok. So this is for the knowledge. We will share this detail to you. So this is basically a comparison between a broadcast system and a texture system. Why we recommend a texture system than a broadcast system. Both the systems are equally good, but it depends on the customer choice which one to go for, depending on the advantages that you get. So this I will share it. I will not go into the detail. Both the product systems are good. As we also discussed, like, apart from general flooring, we also do coatings, expansion joint treatments, wall coating. I will be specific about anti-graffiti coatings. See, in mostly, like, in Indian conditions, I'm sorry, but like, in North India and all, or even a place like Hubli, people even today dirty it by spitting or something like that, and cleaning becomes very, very difficult. So if you have an anti-graffiti coating, this basically doesn't allow anything to bond over it. Just by water jetting, everything can be easily cleaned, and maintenance is also much better. So we can either suggest you an wall coating, which is polyurethane, which has better life, or you can also go with an anti-graffiti coating for 1 meter, and then you can go for followed by a polyurethane coating on top of it. See, the best of flooring can be given by any company, be it me or my competitors. The quality of floor is the final result of how good the quality of concrete floor you have. Careful surface preparation methods that the applicator adopts or the company proposes. Appropriate surface preparation detailing to be done. See, most of the places you see near the junctions, they don't clean the floor. Closer to the walls, they don't clean the floor because the material or the surface preparation machine doesn't go there. So you'll have to use a small grinding machine so that the detailing part can be given. Controlled product quality, which as a company we can ensure. Experience and professional applicators are there in our fold, where we will recommend the applicators who are experienced. So all these factors contributes for a successful installation of any kind floor, be it commercial, be it epoxy or a polyurethane floor. We have specialty coatings, as I said, wall coatings for hospitals, kitchens, chemical resistant coatings, and we have coatings for steel structures. We have zinc rich coatings. We have general for AC plants or the maintenance areas or cold storage, uh, heat resistant coatings. So everything can be given under one umbrella. So we have the entire range of products. That's what it is. Like, I was talking about an anti-gravity coating where people spit at the corners and it is very, very difficult to clean. So if you have an AG, a coat PUD AG, AG stands for anti-gravity, cleaning just by water jet. Even if you have painted the surface just by water jetting, you can clean. This is basically a silane siloxane based product, something like our our lotus leaf, which doesn't allow any kind of bonding. Basically, it reflects. So that's a kind of coating that we recommend. And we have protective coatings for high performance coatings, like a corrosion resistant coating, an abrasion resistant coating, a chemical resistant coating, a tar based coating for steel structures or concrete structures, and acid resistant coating. So basically the entire range of products we have in protection of a concrete or a steel or any kind of substrate, which can be coatable, of course. Thank you. With this, I've finished my session. I think next